Welcome to Bad Gear, the show about the world's most hated audio tools. As a high-functioning synth addict, I'm usually not susceptible to impulse buys. Every gear investment has to be meticulously planned out in advance, and extensive research has to be made in order to make sure that every box is properly ticked. Today we are going to talk about Waldorf Pulse 2. It was only milliseconds after every synth-friendly news outlet reported about the discontinuation of this 2014 analog mono that I pulled the trigger on what seemed to be one of the last available models here in Europe. However, given the fact that screenshots from this show have magically appeared on Waldorf's official social media, it shouldn't come as a surprise that Pulse 2 is ticking all the boxes. Well, almost. The nostalgia-inducing 19-inch rack form factor of the first incarnation is gone and made room for a keyboardless Teenage Mutant hero Blofeld that seems both bulletproof and a little feeble. Speaking of, I would have preferred another Bond villain name. Behind the slightly intimidating programming matrix slumbers a sophisticated set of oscillators. While Pulse 2 is basically a 3DCO mono with sync, PWM, alternate pulse wave, cross modulation, and various Unison modes. There are up to 8 PWM oscillators on tap for paraphonic use. Nick approves. Feedback and routing options for Oscillator 3 expand the sound design potential of the synth even further. There are 2 loopable envelopes, pre-routed to filter and amplitude, and 2 LFOs. The Arpeggiator goes the extra mile. I've always been a fan of Waldorf filters, and this one doesn't disappoint as long as you don't touch resonance, which will eat both bass and overall patch volume for breakfast. In case you want to add further oomph to your tones, drive with its Fuzz setting will certainly come in handy. The mod section allows for Eurorack level modulation mayhem without the sensual experience. As we are talking about the pleasures of deep synth editing, the comparably generous monochrome display is dominated by humongous patch numbers most of the time. I didn't expect the scientific calculator sexiness of the Blofeld, but it would be great to see values of the currently chosen row of parameters or the name of the patch you're about to accidentally overwrite. In contrast to its predecessors, Pulse 2's patch slots are plentiful. Not all presets are pure gold though. Waldorf added some rather unique features like their own take on glide, digital control of all the analog components including patch changes, is super tight and fast, CV and gate outputs will inspire the modular crowd. The only reason for the existence of stereo outputs I could find is modulatable panning. There is evidence that Waldorf had plans for an FX module that never materialized, 5-pin MIDI without a through, class-compliant USB MIDI, and I hope the knobs on the Pulse 2 will age better than the ones on my Blofeld. I have never spent that much money on a mono synth. Pulse 2 is a costly yet unique analog synth with a remarkable set of features and plenty of trademark Waldorf quirks. Was it discontinued for a reason? You have already heard the synth in today's intro tune. The UI takes some time to get used to, but the proverbial quality of German workmanship is more than obvious. Time to explore the bottomless depth of Waldorf bass. That quite a bit. An interesting balance between tonal precision and pure chaos carved from an extensive sonic toolkit. The level of abstraction needed to deal with the UI will not be everyone's cup of tea, and I wouldn't describe the sound with the usual analog buzzwords. Let's explore the instrument's Paraphonic PWM mode in this little Waldorf Party. Of my Blofeld get worse every time I fire it up. However, it demonstrates nicely that deep bass doesn't always have to be analog. While the Paraphonic mode of the Pulse is far from being gimmicky, it's no match to the complexity of its sibling, and don't forget to factor in a few FX pedals. Given the instrument's reputation of being one of the punchiest and most aggressive classic synths available, most of the sounds we have heard today were comparably tame. I wanna know if we can channel its inner techno monster in this prototypical what's the best synth for Psy, EBM meets trance indie impressive. Pulse 2 is probably one of the most cliché-free analog synths. Its deep and precise tone works great in genres like techno, trance or electro, and I assume it's a lot of fun as a sound design tool for science fiction games and movies. Sure, it can be used for more traditional styles too, but the oftentimes almost digital sound aesthetics and nerdy UI might be a turn-off for many. The main question, which is not only rhetorical in nature, but I also keep asking myself, is it worth spending close to $500 on one of the last Pulse 2 on the market? Maybe I just should have had the encoders on my Blofeld repaired. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Feel free to like, subscribe, become a patron and leave a comment what other kind of gear you would like to see and hear on the show.